Let's welcome our next speaker, Samantha Banerjee, Executive Director of Push Empowered Pregnancy.
Thank you. My name is Samantha Banerjee, and my baby died at birth. My baby died at birth, and I was one of the lucky ones. 8 years ago, I had a perfect pregnancy, 9 months of pure bliss. Our daughter, the first grandchild on both sides of our family, was already doted on by her gaggle of loving uncles and aunts, and everything about my pregnancy was textbook. Needless to say, blindsided doesn't begin to cover how we all felt when I walked into the hospital in labor 2 days before her due date, so excited to finally bring home our baby girl. Only to be told that her heart was no longer beating. Over the next 24 hours, in a fog of shock and disbelief, I found the strength to labor and delivered her lifeless body. 6.5 pounds of pure perfection, with beautiful dark hair and her daddy's long eyelashes. Everything we had ever hoped for. We kissed her, and we named her Alana. We told her how very much she was loved. And then, somehow, I put my child down and walked out of that hospital without her. Then we drove home alone, wondering how to even begin picking up the pieces of our shattered life. Her brand new car seat rattling empty in the back. But I was one of the lucky ones, because I'm still standing here today to tell you her story. Women who suffer a stillbirth are almost 5 times more likely to experience severe maternal complications, the kind that could easily have put me in the ground with my daughter. But I was one of the lucky ones. I soon learned that the most heartbreaking part of this story is that it's not uncommon. 65 babies every single day in this country die in the second half of pregnancy and are born still. That's 3 kindergarten classes every day. And like my Alana, the vast majority of these babies are otherwise healthy, many in pregnancies like mine that are considered low risk until they're not. Truly, no one is safe from stillbirth. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. But the most appalling part about this is that the less you look like me and the less you have access to the kind of privileges that I do, the more likely it is to happen to you. Like other adverse maternal health outcomes, Black moms are suffering stillbirths at more than twice the rate of white moms. Indigenous moms are not far behind. And let me be very clear. This is not due to socioeconomic factors. It is not due to poor parenting, and it is not due to race. There is nothing inherent in the BIPOC parent's body that makes them more likely to lose a child, other than the damaging effects of living in a white supremacist society and the dangers of navigating a healthcare system that is steeped in bias and built on a foundation of racism. If we close the disparity gap between Black and white families, an additional 3,000 babies would have been born alive last year. 3,000 babies. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. 23,000 families are decimated by stillbirth every year in the US. And like me, most of them never knew that it could happen until it happens to them. They warn us about SIDS. They warn us about premature birth. They warn us about listeria. They warn us about guns and drowning and car accidents, about fire and poison and flu. Well, guess what? Stillbirth claims 3 times as many children's lives every year than all of those causes I just mentioned combined. And stillbirth is just as preventable as any of them, but no one warns you about it until it's already too late. How can families be expected to protect their children against a risk that they don't even know exists? That's simply not fair. Because I was one of the lucky ones, I was blessed enough to be able to go on to have 2 more children after Alana, both as breathtakingly beautiful as she was. But despite all my gratitude and relief after bringing home 2 babies alive, the thing that really stuck with me after their pregnancies is rage. Because what I learned in my subsequent pregnancies is that there was so much more that could have been done to keep their sister safe. I was not an uninformed pregnant person. I read every book, blog, and website I could get my hands on. I took a 10-week birthing course. I thought I knew everything there was to know about pregnancy. And yet, why did I not know that it's not normal or okay for babies to slow down at the end of pregnancy? Why did no one ever tell me how to monitor my daughter's movements and how absolutely critical it is that I speak up if I notice a change? Why was I never advised not to go to sleep on my back in the 3rd trimester, despite 5 separate international studies showing a clear link between back sleep and stillbirth? Why did no one check to see if my daughter was still on her growth curve the entire second half of her pregnancy? Why did not one person ever think to check that any of my baby's life-sustaining organ, the placenta, was actually robust enough to sustain them through the end of the pregnancy? Every single one of these stillbirth prevention tips that I learned too late was a knife to my heart. And I learned almost every single one of them, not from my doctors, but from another mom. But even so, the care that I received in my subsequent pregnancies was worlds away from what I got with Alana. And all I could think was, why did I have to pay for this level of care with my child's life? For a very long time after Alana's death, I blamed myself. I had made so many mistakes. I would have done so many things differently if I'd only known. Surely I was the least deserving mother to ever grace this planet. After all, I couldn't even get my daughter through her own birth alive. But it wasn't until I heard those same whispered confessions out of the mouths of thousands of other mothers of all the things they must have done wrong to cause their child's death that it finally clicked. None of us did anything wrong. Our doctors, in most cases, didn't do anything wrong. This is a system-level failure, a failure to get the right information to the right people at the right time. It took a long time for it to sink in, but now I know. I did not fail my daughter. We failed my daughter. It will be 9 years this fall since Alana's death, and still no one is talking about stillbirth, and no one is giving families the chance to make sure that everything possible is done to get their baby home safe. Make no mistake, the silence around stillbirth is lethal. And so, last year, I came together with bereaved parents across the country to say, enough. The families who launched Push for Empowered Pregnancy with me 1 year ago are determined to take action on a big, bold national scale to ensure that other parents and their providers are empowered with the life-saving information that we wish we had been given. We came together to make sure that no other family has to live with the devastating what-ifs that we do. Families deserve to know that stillbirth still happens, that it happens even in healthy, low-risk pregnancies like mine, and most importantly, that there are things you can do to lower your risks. You can help us get this critical knowledge out there. This October, we will be gathering just a few blocks from here on the National Mall with March for Moms and over 30 other organizations to push 23,000 empty strollers past the steps of Congress, one for each baby born still in the past year. We are coming together to call for change from our nation's leaders and our medical system. And we are not taking no for an answer. Together, we can end preventable stillbirth. Indeed, together is the only way we can. So please, go to thebigpushmarch.org and join us. United we push for families, for babies, for change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Can you please give the details one more time? If everybody can take out their phones and please take down this information for this very important event we're going to need your support for.
Thank you so much. It's the big push to end preventable stillbirth, thebigpushmarch.org. And if you follow us on social media at Push Pregnancy or March for Moms, who is one of our collaborating organizers, you will find all the information. Thank you.
We need your support. We need everyone there. Please tell all the families and friends to come out. Thank you, Samantha. This is for Alana. I just want to say your strength is amazing. Thank you for your efforts in celebrating her memory through making change today.